Hello, my name is Alex Gwynne. I'm a graphic designer and paper engineer with a decade of experience designing paper toys and paper craft. In this video I'll be showing off the lava lizard paper model, showing how the design folds together and explaining the paper engineering and methodology involved in its design. The lava lizard is exactly what the name would suggest, an elemental creature made out of lava and molten rock. One of the most difficult parts of the design process was adding the gradation of rock down the back of the model and having it slowly become less and less intrusive, because although on the built model the placement of these rocks is pretty straightforward down the center spine, on the flat template it's a lot more scattered. On the template these rocks appear all over the place as random pools. It's only when built that there seems to be any thought in their placement at all. The head of the lizard was inspired by axolotls and features something similar to protruding gills, where the centre is rock and the gill itself is lava. Adding these elements to the head completely changes the feel of the design. Without them, the model feels much more serpent-like and much more aggressive. The overall shape follows a pretty basic structure: a triangular based curve followed by a structure element, a triangular based curve followed by a structure element, a triangular based curve followed by a structure element. The shape is rather simple, but the difficult part was making all of these shapes connect in a single piece and finding room for the legs in whatever gaps were left over. I tried to give each model a little backstory of where it fits into the world to help add a little character or imagined environment. This model is the first time that backstory directly ties into the way the model is built. Lava lizards are only formed inside active volcanoes, first appearing as nothing more than a ball of hot magma. The creature slowly unfurls and straightens out into a long and lively elemental being. If a lava lizard wanders too far from a sufficient heat source, the rock found on their back will slowly spread, making movement more and more difficult until the creature turns completely to stone. The key part of the story being the transformation from ball of magma into creature, and with that in mind, let's look at how the model comes together in the building process. I'll be building the model at an A3 print size to make it easier to see on camera, and I'm using the double-sided edition of the model, which means there's print on both the front and back of the page. The model still works with just a single-sided printing, and I'll compare the differences between the two at the end of the video. After we've cut the model out, scored along the folds and then folded them, it comes time to glue the tabs down. Straight away we've got something unusual with tab number 1. Tab 1 folds over onto itself and in doing so lines up the head to the body. These two faces make the bottom of the head. Each face is half of the bottom, but they're split apart. If they weren't split, the head would be all the way over here, and in order to fit that on the page we'd have to make the entire template significantly smaller. So by having the bottom of the face split in two, we can keep the head elements more neatly tucked away and then shift it into place when we need it with a single tab. Tabs 2 and 3 connect the bottom and top of the head, and in doing so split apart the gills. Tab 4 connects to the back of the head. Tab 5 is the first tab to involve one of those curved sections I mentioned earlier, so let's take a moment to talk about those. These curved sections are neat because when they're flat, both the outer and inner folds line up so that they can be scored and folded at the same time, meaning that they can be constructed with very few tabs. For example, the lava lizard's tail has 12 faces, but is made using only a single tab. This style of curve is very cost effective in terms of the time and effort they take to cut out and glue together, so I've been using them quite a lot recently. I first realised I could predict the amount that these curves would pull inwards when folded by accident as I was designing the Swamp Sweeper model. I then took the concept to an extreme in my Cunning Cobra model, and now I've used them again in 3 different places in the lava lizard. So tab 5 folds over and connects with the inside of the neck, and in turn curves the neck into the correct angle and lets us glue down tab 6. Tab 7 lines up the head and neck. You'll notice that this face has a slit cut out of it. This accommodates the protruding face made by tab 1 and locks the head in place so it can't move left or right. Tab 7 folds up and connects to the other side of the neck. The head can still move up and down, which allows us to glue down tab 8 and finish the head of the lizard. That's the most complex part of the model done. From here on out, it's all super simple. Tab 9 starts the build of the shoulder section, tab 10 folding down to cover the top. Tab 11 and 12 create another curved section which will become the backbone of the lizard. Tab 13 starts the build of the hip section, tab 14 folding down to cover the top. Tab 15 makes the tail of the model. The tail is a perfect example of how useful this curved element can be. That whole thing is just a single tab. Now here's the reason this toy is so cool. It's a meta paper toy, because you fold the model together and then you have to unfold the model to finish it. Much like the backstory of the lava lizard, you have this ball of magma that unfurls using tabs 16 through 19 to transform into the final toy. I purposely made the tab markers for tabs 16, 17, 18 and 19 smaller and less intrusive on the overall design to maximize the impact of this last step. It's an example of theatrical design. The tabs are specifically ordered in a way to make sure that the building process starts off slow, building the head and aligning the neck and so on, and then speeds up throughout the build so larger and larger chunks of the toy are done with increasing ease until suddenly the last step is to unfold this weird mess you have, and in that one motion you have the lava lizard. Another example of this style of theatrical design is the Pride robot I designed a little while ago. The face of the model is a really prominent part of the design, but the face is hidden and scattered all over the template until the last few steps where suddenly the face all comes together and appears. Maybe I'm just blowing smoke and this is a lot less exciting and impressive than I think it is, but I don't know, it just gives me this really goofy smile on my face. It'd be so easy to just build the model in a different way or have the tabs ordered more efficiently, but having this as be the last step, it just feels so good to just pull the model apart and have it line up like that. The lava lizard is surprisingly big too. Here's the version we just built next to an A4 version. The A4 design is still 21 centimeters long from nose to tail. The only real difference the back printing gives us is more coverage on the inside of the legs and at the back of the gills, but the legs are already so close to the ground that it doesn't really feel like you're missing anything with the single-sided print. I hope you enjoyed this more detailed look at my lava lizard fold-up toy and the paper engineering involved. I designed these models without the use of 3D software, relying on old-fashioned paper engineering tricks, designing the flat template as is. The model is available to my Patreon supporters along with 20 or so other exclusive models if this is something you're interested in. It's a bit weird making videos at the moment because my office has been torn apart, so I'm just kind of working in a corner of my living room. I'll see you on the next episode of Lost in the Fold.